Okay, so we're going to go through, let me just make sure the sound's recording. Okay, so we're going to go through this realization concept where we said excess tax benefits have got to be realized before we book them. And I was just talking about the fact that there's two ordering rules that we can choose from. Okay, so here's the example. The example is we have a non-qualified option that has 100 fair value. It's an NSO, and the strike price is 150. 100 is the value of the option. The strike is 150. The stock price when we exercise is 350. We have lots of NOLs from prior year that do not include any excess stock comp. So we had a DTA last year for that 1200. This year we have 900 of income before our excess stock comp deductions. Okay? But after our $100 of non-excess. Okay? So at this point in class, you're probably like, screw it, man. I don't even know what you're talking about. Right?
How come can you read our minds?
Well, it's pretty explicit on your faces. So what we mean by that is if you think of taxable income and that stock option, the value of the stock option was $350. We thought that we were going to get we thought that the exercise price was $150. So our tax deduction is $200, right? Of that $200, $100 of it we kind of knew was coming, right? That is our 100 DTA amount. We would have expected 100 to come because that's what books expensed. The other 100, and I guess to Grant's earlier point, I like to use the same number for two different reasons to confuse you. You should really change these examples. That other 100 is the excess. So what this example is saying is that taxable income of 900, it includes this, but excludes this. So they're saying, remember I said while I was saving this file, I was saying that you do your provision in a without options world. You do it without the excess part, not without the whole option, without the excess. Because you're trying to isolate on what is the incremental effect of that excess stock deduction. Okay? All right, so I had a total deduction of 200, half is excess, half is not. I had a big NOL from the prior year, but otherwise this year I was profitable. Okay? This is on the exam. I mean, this is exactly how the exam is. But harder. With foreign currency. I mean, you wouldn't believe it. I always tell people whenever you get like completely stuck and you don't know how to explain something, just tell them it's like foreign currency. No one understands what that is. Yeah. It's like my rate rec doesn't work. It must be foreign currency. I don't know. But I'll be looking for that on the exam. Okay. So let's figure out how we would realize our excess benefits. Okay. So now we're going to show it both ways. I'm going to show it using tax law ordering and provision ordering. Okay? So if I was doing tax law ordering, remember I said that I was profitable. So this 360, this is my 900 of taxable income times 40%. That's what that 360 is. I'm profitable in the current year before excess. So I would pay 360 of tax before I messed around with excess stock deductions or NOLs. So because I'm using tax law ordering, the next thing that happens on my tax return is I'm going to use my stock option deductions. Those come before NOLs. So I'm going to use this $40 of excess benefit. That's the $100 excess times 40%. So I'm going to reduce that $360 by 40. Okay, because on a tax return, I'm going to use my option deductions next. I'm going to credit APIC now because I'm realizing cash tax savings on a tax law ordering basis. Now, that is the excess part, not the whole option deduction, just the amount above the book expense. This is the amount I would credit to APIC. So now I have $320 of tax left that I can use my NOL carry forwards for. But remember, I had NOLs of $1,200 times 40%, so that would be $480. If I use $320, $160 is left. Which, if you were thinking using a tax return brain, you would say that makes sense, because when you go to your tax return, you will have 400 of NOLs left, right? You would have had 1,200 to start, right? 1,200 of NOL to start. You would use 800, basically. You would use 100 of your excess stock compensation deductions. Well, I'm not sure I would actually explain it that way. You would start with taxable income of 900. You would use your 100 of excess benefits first, so you'd have taxable income of 800. You would use 800 of your NOLs and be left with 400. That's just like how the normal brain would work, right? That's how life works with tax law ordering. But the key to this is that you're going to benefit APIC now. Okay? You're going to debit your payable and credit APIC today. And by doing that, you leave $160 of DTA on the books. Okay? So just keep this in mind. Keep these two things in mind. One, you credit APIC. Two, you have 160 of NOL left. Okay, so this is the same slide with the box moved to the right. The numbers have not changed. So if I said, no, I'm not going to do it on a tax law ordering basis, I'm going to do it on a provision ordering basis, I'm going to say that $360 of tax, again, that's my 900 of taxable income before excesses, times 40%. That 360, I'm going to say, look, I'm going to go find anything that is not APIC related to offset that 360 with before I deal with excess benefits. Well, I have plenty of NOL to offset that. So if there were no excess benefits, I would just use my NOL. Okay? And now what happens is my remaining NOL, I went from 1,200 of NOL, I reduced it by all 900, so now I only have 300 left. Good grief. That's going to be good on the video. So I have 120 left, which is this. So now it looks like I used more NOL than I did when I did this on the left side of the page. Right? And what happens, here's the zinger, is when I look at my tax return, I still have 400 of NOL. Right? So if I have 400 of NOL on my tax return, and I'm saying I'm only going to show you 300 of the NOL, and I booked no APIC benefit, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you 120 of NOL, even though I have 160 really, and that 40, I'm going to pretend it doesn't exist. It's off balance sheet. And in the future, I'm going to use that NOL to save cash tax and book APIC then. Okay? And you guys might be thinking, I like tax law ordering better. Most companies use with and without ordering, although it's a mix, but I would say most use with and without ordering. And one of the great advantages to with and without ordering is your deferreds are lower. And so with your deferreds lower, you have less of a risk of having to write off those deferreds with a valuation allowance. And that might seem like a very abstract problem, but that is a very real problem. So in today's world with the California apportionment rules the way they are, most companies would never use their California R&D credits, but at least they get to use some on a without options basis. On a with options basis, they get to use like none. So maybe for next week, and to put your mind at ease, this is not on the exam. But maybe for next week, if you guys are like just, you can't get enough of this, we can go through more problems with and without ordering. Because it's fascinating. I mean, if you pull up Amazon's 10K, Yahoo's 10K, NetApp's, you won't understand what's going on until you realize that what they're doing is they're using their attributes in a fictional world, and it's this without options world.
So there's the whole asset, their assets they have, and they're not booking on the balance sheet?
No. So in Amazon's footnote, what they basically are doing, I mean, to take Lady Min's comment that she asked like 3 hours ago, she said there was a comment that said, there's an NOL of 160, but we're only going to tell you it's 120. And in the footnote, they told you, we're going to show you less than is really there. And what they're trying to tell you is we're applying footnote 82 on a with and without basis.
Can you switch, or you won't want to pick one?
Year one.
Stay with it.
Yeah. But that's just extraordinarily confusing, right? But that is what they're doing. That's what they're telling you. For what? Well, so why don't you try to figure that out? Why don't you try to pencil out debits and credits for this example under both approaches and bring them next class? You can figure it out.
Yeah. I'm confused as it is. I can figure it out.
Okay. All right, for the next class. So I want you to reread the stuff that I highlighted in the Deloitte book about FAS 123R. Okay? I'm hoping if you read it first, you were like, I don't know what I'm reading. You came to class and you learned a lot. And then if you go back and read it again, it'll make even that much more sense. Okay? This stuff is hard. I mean, it's very theoretical, right? Do in-class exercises 2, 3, and 4. We'll go through those next week. Okay. So Elaine is coming next week. Elaine is the person that runs the tax provision at LinkedIn. LinkedIn has all kinds of stock comp issues. So I want you to read her 10K, and you need to write her a 2-page memo. Okay? I'm going to give them to her. Okay? Yes. So I want you to send it to me by Monday night. Monday night dinner. Okay? I'm going to give them all to her, and she's going to pick some ones that she wants to just browse through. Okay? So you need to write a memo, and write it in a professional way. Okay, make it in like a very coherent, terms. Get to your point. Make it organized. Make it easy for her to understand what you think is significant and you want to hear more about, right?
And with this, she's going to give us a job.
So you'll say, look, I was reading your 10K, I saw 3 interesting things, let me describe them to you below. Item 1, there's something weird in your rate rec. What is that? I think it's this, but maybe you can tell me I'm wrong, right? Item 2, I saw this thing. That's interesting, right? Your competitor, Facebook doesn't have that. Why do you? Right? Topic 3. So 2 pages. Don't write more than 2 pages. If you write more than 2, I'm just going to delete the 3rd and 4th or whatever pages. Okay? 2 pages. So that's why I said, again, 2 pages. Elaine stops reading at the end of page 2. Okay? Okay, so I want this to be good. Okay? Don't do a hack job. One thing I see all the time is accountants are horrible at writing, okay? And that's really bad. I mean, you really need better writing skills. Okay, so Elaine is also going to come and answer your questions, so you guys need to come prepared to talk about the 10K just like you did with Tracy. You guys did a great job with Tracy. Do the same type of thing. Okay, and then email me with what you want to cover in class 6. Okay? And tell me by Friday so I can have the weekend to prepare.